Hey Posse, how's it going? This is Brandon. I'm here with another interview. I have Andrew Husvar from the Major Wrestling Figure podcast. Um, so how's it been going, Andrew?
Not too bad. A lot of running around, a lot of here and there, but I'm doing great. Can't
That's good.
complain.
Great. Um, so we met through the Major Wrestling Figure podcast and through the Patreon Facebook group. What kind of got you into wrestling in general, but then also uh, got you into being fans of Brian and Matt?
Absolutely. So for wrestling, my mainly through my oldest brother Matt. He was a wrestling fan. He was born in '76, so he grew up mainly in the '80s. So he used to show me like Macho Man matches and Hulk Hogan matches and everything, and that kind of tipped my scales to wrestling. And then my older cousins, they were all into it. So I grew up around older people my whole life. So I had them as all role models and everything. So they got me into it. So I started watching it on TV,
Mm.
and it was during the Attitude Era. I was born in '89, so I was about 6 or 7 when I started getting into it, really getting into it. And Stone Cold was one of my favorites, and The Rock and everyone. So Shawn Michaels. So mainly through family members.
Okay.
Um, for collecting, you said, what was it?
Mm. We'll get to that later. But for like, what
Yeah.
got you kind of into? Yeah, got you into wrestling in general. But then, what kind of really sucked you into like Matt? Just being fans of Matt and Brian,
Oh, okay.
just in general before the podcast.
Absolutely. So it was mainly Matt. I was so we all have that phase where you say you like wrestling in like middle school, and everyone makes fun of you and is like, oh, you still watch that? So I kind of fell off of it for a couple years here and there, and then I still liked it. Deep down I still enjoyed it, and my brother would still watch it, and I had some friends that would still watch it. So it was like really in my first year of college, so like 2007, was when I really got back into it. And Matt was, just starting to, come out into the wrestling world at that time.
Yeah.
2007, 2008 ish. So I started, watching wrestling again and seeing, I saw Matt's, Matt's gimmick with the woo 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 and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and I was hooked. Then I really started to watch Z True Long Island Story, and that got me even more hooked onto Matt and this character, the Broski character. Brian wasn't until a couple years later, when he started having the streak. I think it was after he came back, after he was fired the first time,
Yeah.
was when I discovered Brian, and I thought it was cool how different that kind of was. It was he was always losing, and he had that the Stay True and Prince of Queens and everything, and I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, and that's kind of like similar. Like I was born in '87. My cousins got me in. Like I always knew who Hulk Hogan, Warrior, and Macho were, but I was never like a fan. Like my dad and my grandparents, they weren't really fans of it. But once my cousins got into Austin and Attitude Era, DX and stuff, then I was all in, and I was kind of the one who stayed with it. All my other cousins kind of like fell off.
Fell off. Yeah.
Um, yeah, but then that was like, and I grew up like in the Philly area. Um, so it would be like, oh, when Matt started doing the woo woo woo, it's like, oh, it's like, yeah, I've seen these guys out, these kind of guys out
Yeah.
at the bar and stuff. So it was like easy to hate him as a heel, which is great. And then
Right.
Kurt and Brian was always like, oh, whatever happened to the other guy? Like he was the other edge head, just
Right.
because they weren't using him right. And then I really started to see his stuff when he got fired, like because he started being able to do matches. It's like, oh, okay, this guy can put on like a show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. To add on to it, my cousins, they used to give me like, last rides in the pool and everything. And, I
Yeah.
loved that. And, getting my back slapped down on the water and everything, and it made me appreciate it more. Granted, it was my cousin doing it to me, but that hurt getting slapped down that water. But yeah, I totally agree with you go out to the bars. I was going to college at that time, so I go out to bars and you see those woo guys, out, and it really made them, a great heel in that sense.
Exactly. So with collecting, was wrestling your first gateway into it, or was it like Saturday morning cartoons?
It was a little bit of both. So I'd say it started off with Saturday morning cartoons and comic books. My dad was a big comic book collector, and Star Wars. Star Wars was huge. Some of my earliest memories were going hunting for those Power of the Force figures. I remember everyone was going nuts for them, and now look at them now. There's 3 for $5 on the shelf, and everything. But back then, everyone thought they were the next big thing. So me and my dad would go. I'm from Connecticut, so we'd go to FAO Shorts in New York. Yeah. And we would, stand in line for 3 hours to get the Jawas, and I forget what series they were and everything. But that and comic books. I collected comic books. I got like Sonic the Hedgehog comic books, and Spider-Man and Wolverine were like my 2 big, and Batman. All those cartoons, like you said, were big to me as a kid. And wrestling, came shortly after. I had an MWO Hogan figure, and I had Stone Cold figures were some of my first figures that I really played with. And I mentioned on another podcast, but it's wrestling is almost like real life superheroes. They're these larger than life, like jacked guys who you got the good guy and the bad guy. It's always that story.
Yeah, exactly. And that I had something and it left my head about collecting. Oh yeah, I love Star Wars. Like I would watch all 3 of the movies just until the tape wore out. But I was mainly like I never got much of their toys. It was mainly just 'cause I think I was bummed they didn't make a lightsaber. But I was mainly like real Ghostbusters, Power Rangers, '89 Batman. I remember bugging my parents when I moved from South Jersey to Pennsylvania. There was a local store down the road from our house, and they had all the new Power, like the Megazord and the Dragozord had just come out. I was like, "Mom, Dad, like let's go, let's see if they have it." And they had everything but like one bad guy, and I was like, "Ooh!" And then I got it all. And now I'm like, I beat the heck out of them. Now I'm looking back, I'm like, I'm glad you ever look back and be like, oh, I'm glad I played with them, I have the memories. But then it's like, you look on eBay and you're like, no.
Yes. Yeah, I was huge on Power Rangers too. I have vivid memories of being in my playpen and my mom coming home from Toys R Us with the Megazord. And, and then I had a big birthday. I remember, I think it was my 6th or 7th birthday or something. And I had, it was all Power Ranger stuff. It was that Dragon Zord set with the dagger and the 12-inch figure, all that stuff. And to, add on to what you said with the eBay, my mom made me write my initials in Sharpie on the bottoms of the foot, like Toy Story or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So all my ones, I still have them all in my basement, but they all say AH on the bottoms of the feet, and I'm like, so I still have them. I cherish them, but I kind of want to go back and get like nice minty ones to display, but it's ridiculous out there.
But luckily, with some of the Power Ranger stuff, they're with the re-releases with Hasbro getting it, like they have the flip ones where it's
the
like
flip heads,
face, and then their helmet. At least people could be like, oh, I could buy them and display them. Like they're not the originals, but it's still a good placeholder.
Absolutely, yeah. I've been collecting the Lightning collection, and I really like how they look and everything. You can change the heads to without the helmet. So those are my display pieces, and then I have my childhood ones for nostalgia reasons.
Well, yeah, you gotta keep some of the childhood stuff.
Absolutely.
For in wrestling figures, were you did you just take your brother's LJNs and Hasbro's, or did your mom like get you both? Like with Brian,
So
like I got my brother got half the set and he got half the set.
So unfortunately, my brothers never collected the toys. They just watched it. So I only had I started off with the Bone Crunchers. So
Mm.
the Hasbros were just, I was about 3 in 1993. So the Hasbros were just starting to, end. So I don't think I don't have memories of seeing them in like KB Toys or anything. So I had the Bone Crunchers. So I remember it was impossible to find anything Stone Cold or NWO Hogan on the shelves. And then
Yeah.
I found that I have it here, the KB Toys Stone Cold, the special edition one. This isn't my original one. That's in the basement somewhere. But this was my first Stone Cold.
Oh,
Um,
the Austin 316, nice.
it was my favorite. That was my first ever wrestling figure, and then I had the in Bradley's. They don't
Oh
exist
God, I
anymore.
miss Bradley's.
Bradley's.
I miss
I
Bradley's
do
and
too.
Caldor, man.
Yes, I found the WCW. I think it was the old San Francisco toy maker, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I think it was like Power Punch or something like that. I forget what action he had. But those are the two I had, and then I had the karate. You remember Karate Warriors?
Yes. Were
I
they the ones
had
that
the
connected to that USA show that would be on like after the Saturday
yes,
morning WWF, like the Raw review or whatever?
yeah, where
Okay.
you'd like turn the knob and they'd kick or whatever.
Yeah.
I had the they had an Undertaker and Stone Cold one. I had those. I still have that in the basement somewhere.
Oh God, I
But
didn't know this.
and Bendham's. I had Bendham's. I had a little Bendham's ring, but I only had like Stone Cold and like Kane. I think were the only two I had.
Nice. Yeah, I remember growing up, like I never got wrestling figures until Maximum Sweat. I got like almost the whole set. And then I didn't get anything until I started listening to the podcast. I had like 2 wrestling figures. Now I have like so many I need more detail. But I just remember, I think mainly because one of my really good friends growing up had him and his brother had all of the Hasbros, so it wasn't even like I don't think I was like, oh, I don't need them to play. We just go over and they had the house with like by the living room they had the stairs that go up and it's all open. So we'd
Yeah.
have Hasbro ring down there and we'd have like Hogan and we'd take like, and I know this because they were excited that they got the mail away and we were just
Oh wow.
dropping it from like 10 feet
Oh,
to elbow drop. I was like, oh, thinking back, I'm like, oh my God. Like they had like,
imagine.
oh God.
Yeah, it wasn't until I think it was like I was like a couple years after I got out of college was when I, like because a buddy of mine who I went to college with, he like really liked wrestling, so he like really really got me back into it, and I was like, I want to start collecting figures again and everything. So it was around, I think it was like 2014, 2015, I want to say. I can't remember for the life of me. And I started collecting again, and I was like, oh, I want to get Sting. I want to just start getting Sting stuff. I'm only going to get Sting. And then it turned into, it snowballed. And then I saw these, the retros. So, the retros started coming out, years and years later. And I was like, these are so cool. Like, I want to find out more about like what new ones are going to start coming out. So that's how I got into the podcast was,
Mhm.
um, I was like, found out that they were the know all end all of toy collecting, of wrestling toy collecting. So that's how I started, listening to them was to find out more about Hasbro's, and now here we are,
Yeah, right.
addicted.
That's crazy. Right? Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna get Attitude Era guys, like guys I remember. But then I was like, I went like I used to be like I can't miss a Monday or a Thursday night. Like I would get upset like if my parents like, oh, we have to go to family dinner at this. I'm like, no, but SmackDown's on or Raw's on. Uh, but then I kind of fell out like as I got to like end of high school, beginning of college. I was like, yeah, I'd rent the DVDs and stuff and watch them after, but I wouldn't watch it religiously. Um, but I think it was just like I think the figures kind of got me back into watching more wrestling and not just being a casual fan anymore. Like I was hardcore, and then I was like, oh, now I'm like a casual fan. Now I think I'm more of a hardcore fan.
Absolutely. The figures definitely did help because it's like all these guys are coming out and you see a guy that looks cool. Like I think for me it was like Finn Balor. I saw these Finn Balor figures. I'm like, oh, that guy's cool. Like, what's his deal? So then I started watching NXT and and learning more, and then you just start watching more and more and learning more guys and wanting to buy more guys.
Exactly. And then you find out like a lot of these wrestlers are still fanboys and still like fans of stuff. Like Finn's a huge Lego guy, and it's like, oh, these guys are cool. Like they're famous wrestlers, and they're supposed to be like, oh, we're too cool for this stuff. But now it's like, now like Matt and Bryce say, like now it's not a big deal if you're just like, hey, I'm into this.
Right. Yeah, they really like made kind of, I guess, I don't want to say like being a nerd, but like being a nerd like popular again, or popular in general. Like it's the in thing now to be into to toys or comics or movies. Like look at like say like just MCU stuff. Like you have
Yeah.
like these hot girls and guys you never think would ever watch this stuff. They're like, oh, did you see did you see the new Marvel movie? Like it's crazy. I love it. I absolutely
Right.
love it.
It's like the people that would bully you or make fun of you for liking that stuff now are becoming fans, and it's
Right.
funny to see. It's not like a bitter like, oh, why were you like, you weren't like that, you weren't a fan of this, back then. It's more of like this is awesome, but it's like I always approach it with like, I would love to just be like, hey, if you want to know more about the backstory, like let me know and I can get you like into like which comics to read and stuff. I'm just glad that more eyes are coming on to like Marvel, DC, because then that just helps every collector because they're gonna make more figures, more merch.
Absolutely. More people to talk to about
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff, more friends, connections to make.
I see you're a Batman, but is that strictly Batfleck? Because we're about to have a some heat with
Yes,
only Batfleck stuff.
this is all Batfleck. I like all Batmans. I'm a Batman fan in general, but he's my favorite Batman.
I just like it's more like when he first. I was like, all right, let's give him a chance, and then I was like, okay, he can't take all the blame because that writing trying to fit 6 storylines into one movie was ridiculous. But I'm just like with Daredevil, it's like the SpongeBob meme with the like, how many times should I teach you this lesson, old man? It's like stop ruining comic franchises.
I mean,
That's basically TV, but
I feel you. No, absolutely. I mean, did you get to see the Snyder cut?
not yet. I wanna see it soon. But is
It
it
might
worth it
it
or?
it might change your mind on him. I like Batman vs Superman, but
I
I
was so hyped for that movie.
absolutely what's that?
I was so hyped for that movie, and I just was my brain couldn't get around like why do they have Jason Todd's Robin suit up there like the Joker killed him, but he's Batman's still a myth. It's like how is the Justice League just meeting and he's Dark Knight Returns Batman?
Right. Yeah, they switched it up a little bit. They changed a little chronological order a little bit. It's different. I enjoyed it. But Snyder cut it's really good.
So good.
I recommend it.
Okay, I'll have to watch it then. I just don't. It's DC. We've been hurt over and
Yeah.
over. It's like sorry, I love you. Getting super kicked. Uh, and it's like I love Batman. I'm not a big Superman fan, but I'm a Batman and
Yes.
Dark Knight Returns, one of my top storylines.
Absolutely.
Um, that's why I kind of had issues with it because it was like, dude, just for the first Batman, the Batman vs Superman should have happened after Justice League. You should have had Justice League there and just done the Justice League, the Doom one when they
Yeah.
did the cartoon movie, just make that into real life because it's like they're all meeting and they're all like, oh, I'm just starting out, and that
Right,
makes
right.
sense.
I just wish that WB had let the directors do what they wanted instead of meddling in it. Like I felt like if they did, it would have been a way, we wouldn't be having, you know, us to campaign to get the real version, like they should, they should have just let them do what they were going to do.
Yeah, I mean, I thought their whole thing was like stealing from each other. Like when you see what Marvel's doing, and be like, well, maybe let's try what they're doing because it seemed to be working.
Sure. I mean, I think what had happened from as far as I read was they wanted to do their own thing, but the studio's like, no, we want to do what Marvel's doing. So it's you get this hodgepodge.
Oh, okay.
You get this kind of like because Suicide Squad, the version we got isn't the version that was supposed to come out. That
Yeah.
like all the Joker scenes aren't. They were reshot. Just
Yeah,
like in the Snyder cut.
Wasn't he? Because I remember when it first came out, he was like, "Yeah, that you could have made a whole movie off of the Joker scenes." It's
Yeah,
like,
they cut out all of his stuff.
and it's like, I feel like they could have come to a better compromise, but also WB's very my way or the highway, and it's
Exactly.
like, but that's like the thing with Marvel, they don't get like Disney lets Kevin Feige, they trust him and he trusts the directors, like he lets all the directors do their thing, but they're all like, this is the main storyline, this is this is what the end goal is, how like a wrestling match, how we get
Right.
there, we'll fill it in.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. They should have just trusted. They should have just trusted their visions, and they
Yeah,
didn't. And that's what we got.
yeah, right, exactly. Batman's your main DC person, and would you say
Yes.
Wolverine is your main Marvel, or just overall X-Men?
I
I see
mean,
the 9 in the back.
I have so many characters I like for DC. I'm a big Batman, of course. I like I'm big on Zatanna.
Oh
I
yes.
I really like Mr. Miracle. I
Mm-hmm.
like Jack Kirby characters.
Mm-hmm.
For Marvel, huge Wolverine fan, huge Spider-Man fan. And then Cloak and Dagger are two of
Oh man,
my
I think you're the only person I ever met that is a Cloak and Dagger fan. Not just
I
I bought the figures for the build a figure.
oh got you. I actually have right here real quick. I have their first appearance.
Ooh, and graded too.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I'm big on graded comics.
Let's see. What was the grade on it?
It's a 9.4.
Okay. I have a 9.6 on one that it was
Ooh.
the first one that I've had. I got, like, that was my first comic book ever. And for like a few years, it just sat in my mom's car, but it was in a back. So it got a 9.6, and I got it signed by Todd because
Okay.
a place in Florida a comic book shop in Florida that regularly does does private signings and then runs them over to CGC.
Oh, cool.
So I sent it in, but I had that the Zatanna thing reminded me. I had Swamp Thing 37 first appearance of Constantine, bought it for $30. I was like, oh, this is the most I've ever spent on a comic book. I get graded as a 7.5. I sell it to one of my good friends in Ireland for $90. That's exactly like a month before it blew up. A
Oh
month before it
man.
started skyrocketing, and I'm like, no.
I have the first appearance of Zatanna, the Hawkman. I think it's Hawkman number 4, I believe. If I'm not, I have it's pretty beat
Yeah,
up. I
it's like
got it at a
Brave the Bold
convention.
presents Hawkman. I'm like, yeah.
Yes, and I'll show you. This is my Grail.
All right, let's see. Oh, you son of.
It's signed by Herb Trimp, John Romita, Len Wein, Stan Lee, and then it has the sketch also
Oh
by
God.
Herb Trimp, I believe.
Oh wait, can you hold that up real quick? I want to get a little picture. See if I get a picture of that.
It's a 3.0, but the cover
Yeah.
is the cover is still pretty nice, and it has the stamp into it, and I mean the back's like it's not horrible. It's
Yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, like on the spine, it has
Yeah.
like a lot of
You could
spine.
you could crack it and get it regraded. I'd say get a press, but that would the signatures would not allow it. I don't think.
Right. Yeah, I paid a pretty penny for this. This guy, I mean, I got it like years and years ago. The guy let me do a payment plan on it. I was very fortunate to do that. So I
Yeah.
just really wanted one. Wolverine's probably, like I said, one of my top favorite characters. So I had to get it.
Yeah, you could probably, like, if you were able to get a press, you could probably get it to be over a 7. But if you got it
Really?
regraded now, you could probably get like a 5.5. Like, I think like a 5. Like you not conservatively, maybe a 4.5, but like maybe pushing it a 5, because the back cover looks great, and
Yeah.
fine text shouldn't take that much off.
Exactly. That's why I was like really surprised with the grading when I got it. I mean, I got it for like 2K, That's how much I spent on it.
That's
So
deal compared to what it is today.
right, but it's one of my prouder pieces that I own. And then I have some others here and there, but not as those are probably my two favorites is the first Cloak and Dagger and then the
I see something back there. I'm very mad that you got it, the
uh-oh.
Pepsi Perfect, because I spent all night and all day leading up to that trying to get it, and it kept saying sold out.
So I didn't get it at the original release. I
Yeah,
got
but you
it
still
at
got
Good.
it, so I still hate it. You eventually.
I got it at Goodwill.
Oh God.
My mom went to Goodwill and she's like, she shows it to me and she's like, "Do you want this?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like I think it was like I can't with my headphones. Hold on.
All right.
Okay. It was like I think it was like $60, and I was like,
Holy
"Yeah,
crap!
grab
That's
it."
still a deal. Yeah. Holy crap! Someone just like, oh, I'm gonna donate this.
And like I think they like started to take the tape off, but
Yeah.
they
Oh, nice.
didn't. So it's it's still sealed. I'm a big Back to the Future guy, so
Mm.
it's definitely one of my favorites.
That is awesome. I'm just like that's one of my grail pieces. I picked this up from Joey Hudson, so I'm like now
Yeah.
I can properly do a Back to the Future display because I have like
Is that the Mattel one?
yeah.
Yeah, I have that one. I have that too. It's dope. I love that.
I traded him the old 1992 fanny pack that was like the winged eagle belt.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's badass.
I was like, I'll trade you that and like for like $50, and I'll give you that.
That's awesome. That's a great trade.
So I saw like when we were talking before we started recording, I saw some Jason masks. So are you a huge horror fan or just Friday the 13th? Because some people are like, I'm all horror, and then some people are like, no, I'm only this. Like I'm only Nightmare on Elm Street, I'm only Chainsaw Massacre, I'm only Hellraiser.
I'm into all horror, science fiction, all that. Billy's probably a little bit more into horror than I am. He has a lot
Yeah.
more stuff, but I'm pretty big into horror. Jason Voorhees is probably my favorite slasher character, but I like Phantasms, my favorite all-time favorite horror series probably. I love all those. I have Life Force. That's probably one of my favorites. Anything John Carpenter, anything. I watch it all. I like slashers mainly, but I'll watch all sorts of horror movies.
And then with the collecting, do you do just the NECA figures?
Right now, yeah, just the NECA figures. I have McFarlane figures as well. I have the Mezco Friday the 13th figures. I have like the 12-inch Rotocast Part 7 Jason. And then I have like pops here and there. I would like to get, more stuff like statues and stuff like that. But yeah, I mainly go for the NECA just because they're so detailed, and the ultimates are great with the accessories and everything. So I actually have a little display over there. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if you can see it in the distance, but it's probably hard.
Yeah, we can see.
Stuff, but
yeah, see the Funkos and stuff. Oh, I see that. Okay, yeah.
Like Godzilla in there and T-1000. Evil Dead is probably one of my favorites. Pinhead, Michael Myers,
Nice.
Freddy.
Did you get the Ghostface, the new NECA one, the Ultimate one?
Haven't. I haven't been on top of horror lately. The newest one I pre-ordered was the Part 7 Jason, but I do want to get the Ghostface if it does pop up in like a Target by me or something, or
Okay,
Walmart.
well, let me know because they're just all out here. Like they're
Oh,
just
really?
tags, yeah. And we have a huge horror community out here, so they'll post in like the Toy Pot. Like, so if you, I think I added you to the national group. So if you go in there and be like, "Hey, I'm looking for horror stuff," it's like they'll be like, "Hey, I found this," and they'll tag you if they know you're a horror guy
Oh,
or a wrestling
cool.
guy.
Awesome. Yeah,
So I'll send you an invite. Sure, you're in.
What's up? I'm sorry.
He said I'll send you an invite just to check to make sure you're in.
Yeah, please, absolutely. I
Yeah,
I
and some of them will
and
even be like, "Hey, I picked up two. Who wants to trade? Like trade or cost plus shipping."
awesome. No, I'm always looking.
Nice. Um, so there's horror, DC, Marvel, and wrestling. Is there anything that's kind of like out of the ordinary that people wouldn't think that you collect, or is like that you deem is like this is out of any this is more out of the ordinary than anything I've ever collected?
um, jeez. I mean, I collect let's see. I'm just looking around the room. I collect Arnold Schwarzenegger stuff. I'm a huge Arnold
Oh,
Schwarzenegger fan. I don't think I flaunt it enough. I I have the Conan the
oh yeah. Is
Barbarian
that a
statue.
Hot Toys one?
No, that is a I believe it's PCS is the company. It's
Oh,
either
okay.
PCS or Hollywood Collectors HCG. I forget the brand, but it's huge.
Mhm.
It's like that tall. I mean, from like here down, it's that tall. It cost me $3,000. I'll tell
Holy
you that
shit!
much.
And
I
that was a
really
retail. I was like, dang.
That was a payment plan as well. I
Oh,
can only afford that kind of stuff if it's a payment plan.
exactly. I feel you. I feel you.
Um, so I have that. I have all the Last Action Hero figures. There's been like the NECA Predator figures that have eluded me, and a bunch of other stuff. So I have you can see it back here. I have the Terminators, and I guess Marty fell, which
Oh no,
stinks. But I have these. Let me open the door.
is that the Hot Toys Marty McFly?
It is. It's the part two Marty.
Oh, the best one. Oh, Marty. These
Why'd he fall?
things don't
That's
work
not good.
on water unless you got power.
Unless you got power. Um, so I
Like
got
original Terminator. This one.
that's the yeah the you got the original with the hair before his hair gets burnt off, the Tech Noir
Mhm.
Terminator. There's the battle damage when he shoots up the police station, and then the T2, which is my favorite one with the when he's going to get John Connor
Oh yeah,
there.
he has like the
Um,
shotgun and the box of roses.
yeah. I don't have the box of roses displayed, but I wanted him. It was hard to get him in that pose to have him at the hip shot, so
No,
I had to
nice.
pose him like that. So that I'm huge on Arnold Schwarzenegger stuff. I try to get as much as I can. And then I'm a big video game guy. Actually,
Oh, okay.
I I don't know if I could turn my camera around. I have like a shelf up there that's all just all my video game like statues and stuff up there.
Uh huh.
And then all my video games there. So I have, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, all the PlayStations, Wii U, Switch. I have TurboGrafx 16 system. I got a Vectrix. I got an Atari. I collect systems. I like collecting systems.
Nice. So
So I
like you'll find even the most obscure system.
oh yeah. I mainly will look up games and see if there's like an old movie or an old anime or an old TV show or something that had a game, and then I'll be like, oh, it's only on this system, so let's try and find this system so I could get the game for it, and then I'll start to discover more and more games through it and get it. So um, yeah, so I try to collect as many as I can or as many cool ones that have cool games as I can.
Nice. Do you have the Atari Jaguar?
I don't. It's so hard to get now. Like surprisingly, I think it's like an $800 system.
Mm.
I would love to find one.
The only time I ever played it was when we go to Circuit City, and they had that like really bad knockoff game that was like a combination of like Primal Rage, Mortal Kombat, and Street Fighter.
Oh, that's right. I forget what it's called. That
Oh
game's
god.
ridiculous. Um, but yeah, besides that, I things that people didn't know I collected would be I like anime. I'm big on anime. I was actually just watching Attack on Titan downstairs a couple of minutes ago, and I love it. I love some of the storylines and the artwork of it and everything. So those are I don't think I reveal that to a lot of people.
Oh, okay. But yeah, that's cool. And I feel like there's such a huge hole to fall into too with anime. There's like so much content you can consume.
Oh, absolutely. I have like all my manga comics and Blu-rays take up so much space, and it's like I want to keep getting them, and there's just so many volumes, and there's like hundreds and hundreds of episodes for some of these, like especially like I grew up with Dragon Ball Z. There's
Mm-hmm.
like 200 plus episodes of Dragon Ball Z, so it's like I have all the sets, but it's like it takes up so much space.
Did you stop after Z, or did you get GT and Kai and?
So I watched GT. I mean, it wasn't really Akira Toriyama's,
Yeah.
vision really. So it was cool. It was cool getting a continuation in a way, but I didn't love it. And then I watched Kai just because it was kind of more like the mangas. It was more, all the filler was cut out and
Mm-hmm.
everything. Um, and then I bought these new sets that like came out recently where I know a lot of people complained because they made them widescreen, so they cut some of the top off, and people were like, no, we want more of the like
Yeah, full
the
screen.
picture. But I don't mind the widescreen and everything.
Mm.
I mean, it is what it is. As long as I can watch it, I'm happy.
Yeah, and
um
what about Super?
oh yeah, Super. I really like Super. I watched I'm so behind. During the pandemic, I was trying to get caught up, and
Mm.
I do really enjoy Super. It's just the artwork is a little different, so it's a little like getting used to it, but I do enjoy it. I do like the story, and I hope there's more.
Nice. Um, so we'll kind of start wrapping this up. What
Sure.
are your top three uh just collecting things that you want to get? Like we say Grail, but like things that you hope one day that you can get, not like crazy unattainable, but more realistic Grails, and then the top three that Grails that you have in your collection.
Oh boy. Let's start off with grails that I have. So I collect ring worn
Mm.
gear. So I have Matt's AEW gear, um, that he wore in All Out. I
Oh.
have the one with it's like the white gear
Mm-hmm.
that says still major on the butt. Um, I have Brian's cane from WrestleMania, his white cane, one time use only from a Royal Rumble or Battle Royale. And then my Hulk 181 are probably my biggest grails that I cherish the most. I actually I have a couple more ring worn gear pieces, but I mean there's just so many that so many that have like sentimental value to me, so I can't really put a number on it. For stuff that I want, I really want that Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty Legends 2-pack. I
Okay.
think it's like a $300 set now.
Yeah.
So it's pretty obtainable.
Mm.
I do want some of the AEW chases are probably up there for me. I think the Cody with the Metal Gear Solid shirt
Yeah.
on, with the tattoo on the neck is probably, I love that shirt. I'm a big Metal Gear Solid fan, so um, that one, and then I'm just trying to go off the top of my head of things
Mm.
I've been really wanting. I really want a Macho Man autograph, like like a
Oh, okay.
card, or something from a signing he's been at, or something. I like I told you before, my brother got me into wrestling through Macho Man, so
Oh,
I just
nice.
really like him.
Nice. Those are some pretty good grails to get. That'd be sweet to get like a signed Macho Man something or other. Like someone got a Hasbro signed or got something signed. Because I mean, he didn't die till like what 2014, and he did do signings. So hopefully there's enough stuff out there.
And I mean, if I could add one more grail, I would say Hasbro's in general. Hasbro's
Mm-hmm.
and Old San Francisco toy maker ECW figures. Those are like I really love them, and I keep putting them on the back burner.
Yeah, I
And
did.
I'm
Oh
like,
gosh.
it's hard. But I'm kind of bummed out. There was a Macho Man Gorgeous George autograph on eBay, and they had 30 of them at this place from a signing.
Oh, nice.
And I finally had the money to get one and went on, and they were all gone. And I'm
Oh,
really
oh
bummed
no.
out.
Oh man. They oh god, yeah, speaking of Hasbro's, I got like a huge lot for like $50. And
Oh, man.
black I got black and white tight Sean for 50. And I was like I sold them both for like I think like 80 and 90 each.
Oh, my
Like
God. I would
that
have gotten them.
and that was like I think the Facebook group had just started. And I was
Oh,
just
okay.
now it's like, oh, why did I sell this? Because I was like, oh, I'll get those back. It's like, oh, I want to get them back, but now look at the prices. Like, nope, never mind. I think I'll be okay.
Well, I wanted to thank you again for that razor. I
Oh yeah,
really
no
I
worries.
love it. It's funny that the week after, I think the week after or 2 weeks after, I went to the Wrestling Universe signing for the guys
Yeah,
and the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, and I really wanted to get Hasbro's, and I wanted to get a mint on card one because I had the extra money. I
yeah.
ended up getting the one that you gave me loose,
Nice.
or sold me loose in mint on card. So I want like both,
Oh
ones I
yeah,
could display loose and like ones I really like mint on card that I could display. So I'm gonna
yeah.
put it right in front of it.
This was this was like a broski psycho move. So when I sold you when I had since I'd lost the chain, I bought one from Michael LaPuma mint on card. The card wasn't the best. So then I went on
Yeah,
Bruce and Toys and I opened it up and I'm like I had to
that's
just
right.
I was like I just needed another I just needed another I couldn't find the chain.
Yeah, I gotta hunt for that chain. Like I really want to pop a Shango next, and I'm like I gotta find one with the necklace.
Yeah. If I do find it though, like because it's like either lost in my bedroom somewhere. If I do find it, I'll just send it straight to you.
Oh, dude, I'll throw you some bucks for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I
It,
appreciate you.
um, but so as we wrap up, where can they follow you for the podcast, the Major World Order? Sorry.
Major World Order. Yeah. I know it's all these majors. Um, you could find us on we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you can find podcasts. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all Major World Order, easy enough. And we do have a Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/Major World Order. We have some funny shirts that
Yeah.
some fans kind of inspired us to make. So, check us out, and our logo, it's typical like NWO logo, but our little spin to it. So yeah, check us out. And I, hope everyone enjoys it. We, showcase the community. So we try.
Nice. And then so the very end, give me the elevator pitch. So someone came up to you and was like, "Oh, what's your podcast about?"
Sure. So I like to say we're like an inception podcast. So we're a podcast about a podcast. We showcase the fan community that the Major Wrestling Figure podcast has built. Kind of just getting to know some of the members of the group and get to know the guys and people related to the guys. Whether it's Brian's band, the band that made Brian's entrance music, or some of the wrestling friends, or anyone. So but mainly it's about the community they've built and the members, the major marks of the community.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Thank you again, Andrew. Go follow the Major World Order and download. I think it's every Wednesday they come out or Tuesday.
It should be every Thursday, if I'm not
Oh, is it?
mistaken. Wait, let me check. I should know this stuff.
Yeah.
Billy does a lot of the legwork of the group. I
Yeah.
really appreciate all the work he puts in. It looks like every Thursday. Yep,
Every
every
Thursday. Okay.
Thursday it comes out. So yeah, check us out. I hope you enjoy it.
All right. It's definitely a good listen, everyone. All right. See ya.
Thank you.